So now it's 5 times 2 is 10, and you do 10 distribute on those two. And 3 would distribute on those two. No more fractions. You don't have to get rid of the fraction, but. Okay, if we have x's on both sides, what do we do about it? Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. You guys want Christmas music? It's in my head.
Right there.
I'll sing it to you guys.
Classical music.
Like piano Christmas, is that what you're saying?
No, just classical. It helps improve brain function.
Okay, if we had to graph this, do you guys know how we... If we had to graph this, do you guys know how we would graph it?
The closed circle.
Closed circle going...
That,
You know
right?
I'm feeling. No. It's actually more. I'll get it. It was right there. I got it. Ow! I was getting it afterwards.
His dead hurt.
Oh, this was on and he hit me. He hit me first. Why did it? He just sighed.
Why did we have some?
How are you guys?
He said, oh, is that
How
his
is-
regular, oh, is that his regular voice?
He hit me first.
Sure, you're 17.
Oh, grow up.
Be mature, like Leo.
Yeah.
Is it x plus 4 is less than 3 or x minus 4 is greater than 3?
Not quite.
Bye.
Close. Alright. You guys remember how we set up absolute value less than? Okay. This is the one where it is between the two numbers. 3 and negative 3. So you just subtract 4. You guys remember how to graph that?
Yeah.
Between -1.
Okay, and how do we set up absolute value greater than? I probably should start with equals too.
4.
This is the one that has 2. Oh.
4.
Oh yeah, it's an or statement. You do x minus 2 is greater than 5, or
Oh, wow.
x minus 2 is less than negative 5. And John can measure up. Is the feeling not mutual, Allison? Oh.
Whoever has Eliza, a desk fell on her head yesterday.
I did walk by a little girl who had like a scab right here and like right there.
Yeah, yeah, because Isaac, I think, not Isaac, something like that, some kid like that. Or
Wait,
Sam-
are Isaac or?
No, maybe it was Samuel. I think it was Samuel.
He got mad
But
because she was
he
taller
dipped
than
it,
him.
he's like put his chair on like 2 legs and fell back
It was Samuel.
and kicked his desk forward and it landed on her head.
Oh, I heard your coach talking about
Yeah.
that.
Like, I think it was one of Trey or Leo's.
Doesn't Leo have Samuel?
Leo, you have Samuel.
Was it the one for the when you were gone, I didn't have Samuel.
I had
And
Samuel Logan.
Trey, we were talking to our coach and she was like, yeah, we put the kid, Trey's better with the big head in the back because kids can't see over his head.
No way.
Yes. Every time I see him, I get scared. His head's so big.
Dude, he's totally dead.
It's like bigger than try to say.
Yeah, actually. No.
Alright, how do we set up absolute value equals?
The, in,
That was less than. In between is for less than. Equals and greater than are kind of, equals and greater than are kind of the same thing. So it's an or statement. It's 2x minus 5 equals 5, or 2x minus 5 equals negative 5.
yeah, how's that answering then?
Someone doesn't pay attention to that.
Well, that's,
If you call him dumb,
you're a jerk. You're dumb now.
no, you're not.
I'm getting smart, Ava. You're dumb. I have nothing. I'm gonna drop you, and then it's gonna be,
Yesterday,
it's gonna be 4 versus 2.
when you noticed that? Yesterday, when the truck was coming, he didn't stop. That was so
I
funny.
didn't stop watching.
Okay, number 3, these are a bit more challenging. Maybe a lot of bit. We kind of talked about 3a a little bit yesterday, in a way. What values for x would make this equal 0?
2, negative 3, and 1 half.
Okay, so I think like the way I had you do it is like put these on a graph. Like negative 3, 1 half, or whatever. It doesn't really matter where the graph doesn't really matter that much, but. Okay, this one's kind of a toughie. Do you guys know what the degree of A is?
1.
No.
3.
Okay, if you multiplied all those, if you multiplied all those together, what would the largest power for x be?
6.
Yeah, 6. This is a tough one.
No, but I didn't try to answer. I'm trying to learn English.
Some of us take them.
Oh, we already did this.
What do you mean we already did this?
Like the chapter, not the actual problem.
Was a long time ago.
Oh yeah, well, relearn. Do you guys know what shape an x to the 6 takes? Well, it starts up and ends up, so it's kind of like a double W, but anyways, I think maybe the best way to do it, but the bad thing is we didn't do this chapter, that's what I'm kind of struggling with, is just like plug a number in that's less than negative 3, see if it's positive or negative out here. These are the places where it's going to hit the x-axis. Negative 3 is where it's where the function is going to equal 0. That means it's where it's going to go like through the x-axis. Actually, more like that. But we need to see like to the left of negative 3, is it up or down right here? So if we plug in like negative 4 into that function, that will tell if it's positive or negative. Let me write this down. Oops. 2x minus 1. Okay, so if I plug in negative 4, this first term would be negative. This would be negative. Negative cubed is negative. This one would be negative, but what happens when you square negative? Positive. So if I do a negative times negative times a negative, I actually get a what? Positive. Negative times a negative times a positive is a positive. 2 negatives multiply to get a positive, right? Anyway, so it's gonna be up here. This is kind of the shape. So it's up here somewhere at negative 4. At negative 3, it's going to cross through. What's it doing in here? Well, sometimes it bounces.
3 is a triple root, so.
Yeah. If it's a triple root at -3, it gets flat, but it goes through. You guys remember that? At 1/2, it's a double root. You guys remember what's going to happen?
Bounces.
It's going to bounce, so it won't go through. But at 2, it's a normal root, so it will go through.
Who's that?
Leo's big head.
Oh my gosh.
It's not like this.
Okay.
It's really long. It's not that big.
Don't listen.
Oh, Leo, we're sorry.
You're just
Leo,
mean.
I didn't mean, we didn't mean it.
We're all mean.
We're sorry, Leo.
We're sorry.
Your head's bigger than mine. Is my head bigger than Leo's?
Maybe for
The whole class is empty.
You, Mr. Jordan didn't love that.
Don't even say anything. Don't even say anything this time.
Oh, so the question is, where is this greater than or equal to 0? Alright. Everything out here, so the function greater than or equal to 0 means positive, right? The function is positive way out to the left. So when the x values are less than -3, the function is positive, right? Less than or equal to -3. Where else is the function positive? Way out here to the right. So all the x values greater than or equal to 2. Also the function equals 0 at 1/2, because it comes up and touches right there. So x equals 1/2 would also be a solution. That was a tough one. I probably put too hard of a problem on that one. Should have done one more basic, that's okay. 2x squared.
You know, then Mr. Jordan asked me if we face down. Mr. Jordan asked me if we face down.
No, you cannot talk about him. The forehead's a billboard.
That's a good Halloween costume.
You have a hole in the back of your head.
Oh.
Alright, gosh, we've said this like a million times. Let's move on. Okay, so this one, how could we solve this one?
It's a factor.
Factor, yes.
Good job.
Okay, what goes into 2x squared is 2x times x. What goes into 7? You could do quadratic too, kind of, but quadratic formula. What goes into -7?
-1.
7 and -1. You gotta put it so that when the outside inside foils, it adds up to 5. So 7x minus 2x is 5x. Okay, so what are the zeros of this function? What values would make this equal 0? -7/2
1.
and 1. Yes. Okay, this one is easier after you factor it, because what shape does an x squared make? Parabola. And it's positive x squared, so it'll be this. Okay, where is this function less than or equal to 0 at? Below the line, so between, x is between these two. So -7/2.
But why do you put the equals to? Because wouldn't it just
I
be
did.
0?
Yeah, it said less than or equal to, so it can't equal 0. Merry Christmas. Alright, what should we do first on this one?
Move the x squared.
Right, move everything to one side, so I'm gonna add the x squared over.
Wait a minute.
Okay, but,
Take an x out.
yeah, to factor this, they all have an x in them, so you need to start by taking an x out. What happens if I take an x out of this term?
Turns to a 1.
yeah, I'm dividing an x out. X divided by x is 1, not nothing. Okay, then it's gonna factor kind of like the last one. The x in front does not disappear. What goes into 2x squared? What goes into -1? 1 and -1. So it's either +1 -1 or -1 plus 1. Yeah, if we put it like that, the outside is 2x, the inside is -1x. And that does add up to 1x. So yeah. What x values would make this equal 0?
0.
0 if there's an x on the outside.
1/2, -1.
Okay, what shape does a x cubed take?
Is squiggle.
Squiggle. Goes down to up. So 0, 1/2, -1, and just kind of squiggles through there. So where is this function less than or equal to 0 at? -1 and less. When x is less than or equal to -1, this function is negative. Less than or equal to.
A little bit, 1/2.
And yeah, right near. So when x is between 0 and 1/2. I'm putting less than or equal to or greater than or equal to because these are less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. Merry Christmas.
It's so good. I gave her repost too.
To the graph paper. It's like I'm using whiteout. Is that helpful? Alright. Do you guys know what this graph is going to look like?
The line.
Yeah, it's going to be a line. If it just has a y and an x. So how do we graph lines? We change it to slope intercept form. You get y by itself. So we subtract the 5 over, divide -2. When you divide by a negative, the inequality switches. So where are we going to start out at on this graph?
Up. 2.5.
2.5. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. Starts up 2.5, and where are we going from there?
Down
Down to,
Oh,
left.
right, 1. So -2 is like -2 over 1. So rise -2, run 1. Rise -2, run 1. Is this line going to be solid or dashed?
solid.
Solid because there's an equal to sign right there. Are we shading above or below? Yeah, this is read as y is greater than, so that means we're going to shade greater than the line. So above the line and all that stuff. And then I saw her face.
Mr. Tosh is staring. He's just staring. Every time I look up,
He's looking for somebody, obviously. But he doesn't know where they are.
Sure, that's definitely.
Hey, You're the one that touched his mustache.
You described it so weird. I made contact with the hair on his face. Or something like that.
You did the Will
I
voice
made
for him.
contact with his mustache.
Yeah.
Okay. On the front page, how do we set up absolute value is greater than? We did an or. We did it's greater than that or it's less than the opposite of that. How do we graph y equals 1? Yes, it's a horizontal line. In this case, it's a horizontal dotted line. And we're supposed to shade, and y is less than -1, would be down here at -1. So, greater than 1 or less than -1, where would that shading be? Greater than 1, yeah, less than -1.
Is this the test? Oh no, where's it? Yeah, these are the tests that we did get, right?
Yes. I might just steal a few, like, of these questions and put them on the final.
Yeah.
Wait,
Shut up, Sam.
Sam,
You're not angry, probably.
it's not final time yet, you can still
Oh
lose.
no.
What if you, like, are throwing up Monday morning?
I will
I genuinely
drag myself out of bed, drive to school.
Sam will, like, pass out in class. Go home, Sam. No.
No.
I can't.
How many absences do you have, Sam?
He got 3.
Oh, you
He
do
had
have 3.
4, but one of them was swimming, so he talked to Mr. Cloud and he got out of it. So he's on the edge.
Swimming privilege.
Oh, so nice.
Yeah, well, it's a sport, so it's like an activity absence, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, those are fine.
You would have been great for some of your classes.
To the bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay, number 6. I think I took 7 off the test, so I won't put it on the final either. We'll just skip that one. Numero 6. Let's wrap this sucker up. You guys know what x equals 0 looks like?
Just a line.
X equals looks like this. So x equals 0 would actually be, it would be the y-axis except for, it's supposed to be dotted, so you kind of draw on top of it. Doesn't work very well. We'll save the shading for later. 2x minus y is less than or equal to -1.
Y is greater than.
Okay, it's a line, because it's just an x and a y, it's going to be a line.
Okay.
So I'm going to solve for y again, just like I did on the other problem. How do I get rid of that negative? Divide by -1, so I get inequality switches.
He went to the bathroom and he was recording the construction.
Who was?
Mr. Smith.
He was taking some business call right next to the door. He left our class.
He was like getting his prescriptions.
Yeah. We thought he was mad at us. We thought he was telling something. And then we get him on the phone, scheduling an appointment.
He was like 5 minutes late to class. He was just standing there,
He is
staring at them taking down the trees. Just standing there leaning on the door with his coffee in his hand.
Whenever I get a
They
drink,
never
I
drinks.
kind of.
I've never seen him take a
I've
sip.
never seen him take a sip of coffee. Actually, yeah, I have.
He just has it, he never drinks.
He just keeps reganing it up too. Yes.
Alright, slope is 2/1. Is this line going to be solid or dashed?
Solid.
Solid. Okay, so on this x equals 0 thing, x is greater than 0, which side are we supposed to shade on this?
The right side.
Yes. It's kind of like on the number line. Greater than 0 is that way. Remember, the arrow kind of tells you which way to go. So anyway, we're supposed to shade right of this dotted line. And on the solid line, it's greater than or equal to. So which side should we shade on that?
Top.
Above. So right of this line, so that could be like this region or this region. But above this line, so that's this region or this region. So what do they have in common?
That one.
This skinny slice. you guys know what the significance of the shaded region is?
Every one of those
It's
solutions.
answer.
That's right. Every point inside here is a solution to the two,
Got it.
Shut up, Joe.
the two things.
Everyone cares so much.
A little bit bitter, Leo.
Not bad. Not bad.
I never used black.
Isaac would just.
Cue the racist comment. All right. What? I don't make it. The kids usually make it. Or they call me racist. I mean, that's what they do. If I ever mention black or white.
I feel like Xander freshman.
It sounds like my class.
You need to refresh.
Yeah, it has to be that class.
Sure.
Crazy.
It's the sophomores,
He
right?
literally can't even talk.
Paxton's not racist.
You're
I
funny.
will pass.
That's not what Linux says.
You are funny.
Yeah.
What Lennox?
You should have heard him on.
You should have heard what Chef3 Sem Rev like the other day.
That was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Paxton started singing the other day
Something about watermelon time.
some song about a building, like saying like not to be racist, like all people are equal. And I was like, Paxton, did you learn anything from that song? He's like, yeah, I learned not to be racist. And Lennox was like, no, you're still racist.
Said the N-word next class.
He doesn't, does he?
He said it and I heard it.
What?
Like,
Oh.
in what context?
Like,
No context.
Lennox just said it. Like, the bell started ringing and he just said it. I was like,
Hard R.
yeah, it was crazy. I was like, he turned and was like, what? I don't know, Mr. Patrick didn't hear. Yeah, Mr.
If
Patrick
he was
said,
on the line in football, he'd just say it to the person in front of him.
I need to have a talk with Mr. Paxton. All right, let's start with this one. Where do we go? Where do we start with here?
Start,
Down 3. Where are we going from there?
Up to red one.
one.
Up to red one. Up to red one.
Okay, and that's a solid line. Okay, but we did one of these yesterday. How do we do x squared?
Plug through
Well, yeah. Okay, negative b over 2a is going to tell you where the vertex is. That's going to make plugging stuff in go a lot better. So negative b would be negative 4. 2a would be 2 times negative 1. Like, everybody turns and looks. Well, that'd have been awkward if you looked in here. Awkwardly wave. Alright, so negative b over 2a, that kind of tells you like where to start at on plugging stuff in. 2 is going to be the vertex. If I plug 2 back in up here, I would get 4. Negative 4 plus 8. If I plug in 3, I get, you guys remember doing this, like 2, 3, 4? If I plug in 3, I get negative 9 plus 12. If I plug in 4, I get 0. So 2, 4 is the vertex. This is the middle of the parabola. 3, 3.
You
So
really
that's
just have
good.
to find the middle.
Yeah, once you find the middle, it kind of makes everything easier. 4, 0. Okay, is this going to be solid or dashed? Solid.
Below that one and above the other one.
Right. So on the parabola, it's a less than. So we're going to go below the parabola. On the line, it's a greater than. So we're going to go above the line. Where is it? Below the parabola and above the line.
section.
Yeah.
In the middle.
hey, what's your little buddy's name?
The big head or the other one?
The big head.
Talon. It's Talon.
Do you feel offended on behalf of the child?
No.